In this video, we learn about cascading style sheets, also known as CSS. CSS is a simple design language that handles the look and feel of websites. It works with HTML or markup language to improve how it looks by the use of styles such as background colors, font faces, font sizes, background images, and a lot more styles that it applies. It has a wider variety of attributes to improve the look and feel. For example, we have what we call attributes that we can use to describe HTML elements that we discussed in the previous lecture. You can use attributes to define how those elements look. But with CSS, a lot of attributes can be used to improve how your website looks. CSS also simplifies development. Let's make an example. There are 3 ways of adding CSS to your HTML code. You can use what we call external CSS, that is creating an external CSS file and linking to your HTML page. You can use what we call internal CSS, which you use within your HTML pages, and inline CSS. Inline CSS is defined for every single element in your HTML page. Say your website has 10 titles, 4 images, 3 paragraphs, and more components. Using inline CSS would be tedious, as you'd have to describe the style for every single element individually. While the use of internal and external CSS simplifies development because you can use a single style to apply to several other elements. We'll make a simple example next. Only because CSS and HTML form the core of our website development, simple code snippets will be showed of how you can identify CSS code. Let's discuss CSS3. CSS3 is the latest version of CSS. As with HTML5, these just form a standard of the use of CSS and HTML. It comes with improved functionalities to aid development, such as vendor prefixes. Vendor prefixes allow better compatibility. In case your CSS doesn't apply as expected, you can specify the prefix for a particular browser vendor and observe how the CSS applies to that particular scenario. CSS3 also comes with the availability of more styles, like rounded borders. Adding content to columns is now easier by the use of simple attributes. You can add multiple backgrounds to your website and a lot more functionalities. So CSS3 is simply just a standard that we currently use now in development. Basically, we're still using CSS, but CSS3 is just the latest version/standard. Let's have a look at example code for CSS. We mentioned that we have external CSS, which is linking to an external CSS file and linking it to your HTML page. The first example, where we are styling the paragraph, is an example of external CSS. Only that can be located in your external CSS file, which will help change the color of your paragraph to blue and the font size to 12 pixels. And then we have what we call internal CSS. Internal CSS is added within your HTML page. So instead of creating a separate CSS file, you can simply use your style element. Remember, we said this is an HTML element. You can simply use your style element and then provide the CSS code within. So this is just a basic example of CSS code. When you start developing your websites, you'll get to do this a lot more often. Let's meet again in the next video.